I can't even give the floor away. But, Mr. President, for
the Democratic whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the last 2 months, the people of Illinois have been living under President Trump's so-called Operation Midway Blitz. I have watched it up close. I've seen its victims, I've seen its methods, and I want to tell you that this Operation Midway Blitz is trampling over the residents of Illinois' constitutional rights and civil liberties. This reckless campaign is not aimed at public safety. It's a calculated show of political theater and force designed to spread fear and terror in our communities. Every weekend since this operation began, I've returned to Chicago to visit these communities, to meet with members and leaders that have been targeted by Donald Trump with federal militarized agents. I reported back on what I've seen and heard on this floor for weeks now. And what I see time and time again are good people whose only desire is to raise their children, go to work, and contribute to their communities. These same people are now afraid to leave their homes, walk to school, church, grocery store, a restaurant, out of fear of being caught in one of these cruel raids. The president insists his immigrant enforcement operations focus on the worst of the worst. Oh, you've heard him over and over again. At his rallies, he would give the speeches, and he would rail about the rapists, the murderers, the terrorists, the criminally insane, these immigrants. We've got to stop them. Well, I can tell you this. More than 70% of the people who've been detained have no criminal record whatsoever. American citizens, some, workers and parents with clean records, peaceful protesters, community members carrying whistles, even children. Federal agents are sweeping up anyone they encounter, including bystanders who pause to record their activities and scrambling later to justify the detentions. When you ask what happens to an individual who disappears from one of these scenes, you wait, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days, to find out where they've been taken. These actions violate due process, full stop. A democracy cannot survive a law enforcement strategy of arrest now and ask questions later. And the reach of these actions has only grown more brazen. Federal agents have confronted people outside child care centers and schools. Some Head Start programs have moved online to protect families, and children have been zip-tied and yanked away from their families. And in many cases, peaceful protesters have been met with tear gas. At Funston Elementary School near Logan Square, an entire playground had to be evacuated. Residents who locked arms to protect the neighbors were gassed in their own streets. U.S. District Court Judge Sarah Ellis issued a temporary restraining order early this month prohibiting agents from using tear gas indiscriminately on peaceful protesters, journalists, or anyone else not posing an immediate threat to law enforcement. And the orders of court for these people, these law enforcement agents sent in by President Trump to wear video cameras like so many police do every day routinely has been largely ignored. It's time for this court order to be enforced. Just this weekend, chemical canisters were thrown at a crowd of residents that gathered in the old Irving Park neighborhood of Chicago. For what reason? Was it a terrorist meeting? No, it was a children's Halloween block party. And they threw in tear gas canisters. The concerned onlookers and their children watched as Border Patrol agents tackled a landscaper to the ground and arrested him on a resident's front lawn. Agents then deployed multiple tear gas canisters at the neighbors without warning, and even arrested one unsuspecting resident in his late 60s who had just returned from a morning run. Video footage shows the agents' recklessness, their seeming disregard for the court order, and their ongoing violations of due process. Mr. President, it is hard to describe what is happening here, but I don't have to. It's all captured on videotape. Our armed forces are banned from using tear gas on the battlefield, but ICE and CBP have no problem using it on Main Street in Chicago, Illinois. Recent footage even shows Gregory Bovino, the Border Patrol Commander-in-Large who's been tasked with leading Operation Midway Blitz, deploying a tear gas canister on a crowd of peaceful protesters in Little Village with no advance warning. Despite a court order, no advance warning. DHS was quick to publish statements on social media regarding the incident, and they stated that, quote, A mob of rioters provoked the attack. The video shows that is a lie. Judge Ellis called Mr. Bovino to court this morning to answer for federal agents' continued indiscriminate use of tear gas in the streets of Chicago, pepper spray, other excessive force. She opened the hearing by reading her previous order out loud. Given recent events, she wondered whether her order wasn't clear. Immigration agents didn't bother to read it, or if they read it and understood it, they decided to ignore it, to challenge the authority of the court. Judge Ellis said, and I quote, "Kids dressed in Halloween costumes walking to a parade do not elicit an immediate threat to the safety of a law enforcement officer. They just don't." At the hearing, she instructed Bovino to appear before the court to provide daily reports moving forward. Bovino also agreed to undergo training for body cameras and begin wearing one as soon as Friday. In light of these alarming abuses, I'm working to fulfill my role under the Constitution as a member of Congress with the authority to conduct oversight of the executive branch. The Trump administration claims to be the most transparent in American history, but when Senator Duckworth and I recently arrived at the Broadview ICE Processing Center to perform oversight, we were barred from viewing it. If this was truly a lawful operation targeted on public safety threats, the rapists, the murderers, the terrorists, the criminally insane, they wouldn't stop us from seeing who was being held. DHS should welcome oversight. Instead, they hide. What do they not want us and the American people to see? The Trump administration has turned federal agencies into tools of political intimidation. They have targeted cities and states run by Democrats who didn't vote for the president in the last election. Operation Midway Blitz is a desecration of all the basic liberties guaranteed by the Constitution. But Chicagoans and Illinoisans are not backing down. We have survived a flood, we have survived a fire, we have survived disco night in Comiskey Park, and we'll survive this as well. We're linking arms and demanding accountability, and they are refusing to be silent in face of intimidation and injustice. I'm going to continue to be part of that effort. There is a guarantee under this Constitution of freedom of speech, and as long as we are engaged in nonviolent activity, that Constitution protects us. The people of Chicago and Illinois deserve so much better. They deserve a federal government that honors one of its highest duties, the duties to defend the rights and freedoms of all people. I'll continue to do everything I can to try and ensure our government once again lives up to that promise, and I hope my colleagues will join me. I yield the floor.